As the FCIC continues to investigate the causes of the financial meltdown, our next guest, Mark Williams, takes on the same task in his brand new book. In Uncontrolled Risk, Williams explains the origins of the financial crisis in an effort to prevent this catastrophe from recurring. He is a former Federal Reserve Bank examiner and now a Boston University professor of finance and economics. And we're pleased to have him join us now from Boston. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor Williams. So your thoughts on that chat there we just heard from Mr. Mudd?
It was very fascinating. In a sense, he wanted it both ways. On one side, he's really saying, look, competition, we had to be competitive, we had to change. But yet on that side, to be competitive, they already were the monopoly. So I don't buy that argument. And then on the other side, he said, hey, look, the government made us do it. That, this government policy and mandate of greater homes made us become who we are. And what we do know is that as the market became more risky, they slid down that mortgage trail to become more risky and seek more profit. Yeah. And unfortunately, their bet turned out poor.
Professor, is that, in your opinion, how they exposed the nation to more risk?
Well, I think in a sense, when we look at these two agencies, whether it's Fannie or Freddie, they took greater risk. But they did have a mandate as well. So it's really a balance that did happen. But I think to say it and push it back on Washington and say clearly that it's Washington's fault, that doesn't work. It was a combination of both. It was Wall Street and it was government policy, failed policy, that caused what we have today.
So yesterday we heard from the Citigroup execs who were contrite. Today we are hearing from the Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the GSE folks who were in charge before the financial crisis. You kind of get, especially from our discussion hearing from Mudd, that they really had two shoes to fill, or two people, two sides to appease. So do you think, in terms of who's more to blame, could you put that blame more on Citigroup versus Fannie Freddie?
Well, I think it's fascinating. We go back to Wednesday even with Alan Greenspan as well. I mean, Alan Greenspan, he went before Congress and the American people and said that having interest rates below market rates did not impact the financial crisis. And then yesterday we had Price come out and say that the downgrades by Standard & Poor's caused $30 billion of losses with his CDS positions.
Right.
And then today we have Mudd, which fails to take responsibility and accountability for the actions of the agency in which he sat at the very top of.
Right.
So I think what we're lacking here is just accountability by the senior executives.
And Professor, might I ask, the impetus for your book, was this something that you were thinking of doing before the crisis, or was the crisis just, at least for you, I've got to do this now?
Well, I felt, as you can tell, very impassioned about all of this. I view the financial system as, when it functions, it's harmonious. That is, information flows and capital flows to its highest and best use. But what we had is actually a disintegration of that capital market system, which has really built America and made it strong. So I felt actually impelled. I wanted to make this book actually speak to the American people and let them know, look, these are the facts, and this is what caused it. It wasn't Wall Street, it wasn't Main Street, it was a combination of both that caused this financial catastrophe.
And Professor Williams, unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there, but hopefully we can have you back. Mark Williams, author of Uncontrolled Risk, joining us from Boston.